How much do you need to invest in real estate? It's not as much as you think, and the more creative you are and the more you're willing to work at it to learn it, the faster this thing goes. So get a pen and paper. This one's super fun. I didn't have a lot and I became a millionaire in real estate, really working at it, really for about a year or two. Not difficult. So I'm going to talk about where to start and what are you going to need to do. Like that'll be the biggest section of it. Then I'm going to talk about like where do you get some investment capital and specifically OPM and OPC. So stay tuned if you don't know what those are. I actually add another one, OPI. That really gets you interested, isn't it? All right, where do you begin? Well, first of all, you have to want to do real estate. Straight out, I'm gonna give you one of the biggest gifts. It's crazy. I used to sell this package for like $800, but it's my Real Estate is Leverage. It's 8 hours of me talking to you on how I made selections to get into real estate when I was probably where you are, just getting started. I didn't have a lot of the capital, and I sure in the heck didn't have any experience or a Rolodex of real estate folks. So first of all, you have to really want it. So click on the link below, go get my gifts and start reading. The first thing you have to look at, what's strategy? You know, are you residential or commercial? And then where do you want to fit in? Are you doing this because you just want real estate because it's something sexy? And it is sexy. It's in every wealthy person has real estate in their portfolio. So at some point you need to engage with it because it's such a great asset class to own. And every wealthy person has it. But as you get started, what do you do? Now, counter to a lot of what I'm gonna call traditional other gurus, it's not a residential home. That's potentially, unless it's in a college town where you can rent by the room, I mean, you got one rent. Then you got 100% of a problem on one rent. So I like to start with 4 doors, minimum, 2 or 4, or even go 8-plex, because now you have multiple doors. So if you have one property that gives you 4 rents, call it a 4-plex, and one goes down, you got 3 other people still paying. You could also move into the one, remodel it, right, get more rent, upgrade, and enforce the cash appreciation and the rent appreciation, and then move to the next one, remodel it, move to the next one, move to the next one, enough money, have it refinance, pull the money out, go to do another one, and another one, another one. It's what I'm gonna be teaching all my student pro athletes. If you are not in a position or married where you have to have a home, buy 4-plex. It's a way better investment. By the time you play whatever sport you're playing for 3-4 years and you're moving around, you have 4-plexes next to colleges, you got a gold mine by the end of your career. So I teach very different strategies, much more practical on how do you get in and how do you make that kind of money. So I can promise you, if you're willing to at least put together the project, money will be attracted to it. See, a lot of you, it's an idea, it's not a deal. And you've got to move your idea of real estate into a deal that's operational, where people could buy into an LLC, they could do hard money loans to an LLC, not you. No one wants to do business with you as a human. They'll do company to company business. So if, again, I'm gonna put a second link below, go click on that link and talk to our corporate compliance and structure team. What kind of company, depending on what kind of state do you want to be in? And I just got to put a shout out to those of you in California. There are new landlord squatter regulations coming down the pipe. If I had any real estate in California, I would be racing out of that state. It is completely squatter friendly. There's different laws and different structures in different municipals where legally somebody could come in, squat for a year, and not have to pay the landlord. There's all sorts of crazy laws where homeless people, if the hotel's not sold out in certain areas, are allowing homeless people to come in, and if again they don't leave and they don't overrent the hotel, they get to stay. There's so much crazy stuff in some of these cities going on. It's maddening to someone who does real estate and likes to be a real landlord and likes to have my eviction strategy on my side. So if you're not going to pay rent, I can get you out. And most of my real estate's been done. My successful real estate is in the Midwest. A little bit in the Boise market. We've entered in that market 3 years ago with some partners, but a lot in the Midwest, Airbnbs, multi-unit, things like that. So for those of you who have like $500 to $1,000 and you're really just learning, go through my Real Estate is Leverage course. Again, click on that link to grab it. Any comments or questions that you have, go to askloral.com, ask questions, make requests over there. Another way you could get started are REITs, right, which is real estate investment trusts. You can buy, shares on the stock exchange. So typically they're publicly traded syndicates. And the other place is you could get into a Reg A offering. So Reg A offerings are like equity crowdfunding. And there's companies doing it really well. The downside I'd see being usually the project, where I own the project or I own the real estate, is I don't want a bunch of little $50,000, $500,000 investors. I want people that can, really be a partner, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000. So if you're tolerant of that small amount of money, it's just a lot of bookkeeping, it's a lot of fintech, right, which is financial technology, that's going to have to track all that. So that's not a cheap entrance into this market, but you could be a Reg A investor. You can invest 500 or 1,000 with some of those companies. So there's some really great companies that do a really good job on their projects and getting investor good returns. So just put your foot in the door. Also, you want to just get to the playing field, meaning in each town, there are brokers, there are investors, there's people at the planning commissional levels. They know what's going on in the town. They know the development, they know the competition, they know within 50 to 100 miles if there's going to be, big plants coming into town. I have a client in the Carolinas. There's a huge new manufacturing plant coming in. It's going to create 6,000 new jobs, which means 6,000 new houses. Great opportunity to be at the front side of that, knowing it's coming. So you've got to get on the ground level in your town. So some of you who've not even got there, find out who the biggest investors are. My son just is graduating from Georgia Southern, Statesboro, Georgia. There's about 3, 4, 5 big players in that town. You know who they are. You know the real estate they do. You know their access to, say, the coaches and their wives or the university that kind of runs that whole town. And they got the beat. And there is a beat on real estate in all the streets. That's why I call it real estate is leverage. And I always say, let's take them to the streets and do tours, because I love taking you to the streets and showing you what we did in Oklahoma City, Norman, Oklahoma, and how I became a millionaire in those markets. I didn't have money, but I did have a database of people who bought cash flow games from me. So we went back to them and said, hey, you want to play cash flow in real life? This is the market and this is how we're going to do it. And we would buy blocks, actually renovate complete blocks, and we've renovated areas of town. How did I do it? I found people who had the beat in town. I had the database and they taught me how to raise capital. I had no idea how to raise capital. They did it all. I just watched and it was fascinating. I didn't get a lot of the project, but I got started. I got on a team. So for a lot of you that are beginners, get on a team where you can do more work, because what successful people don't have is time, and you might have time. So that's how you kind of get an internship, an apprenticeship in a team that's already really got the beat of a town. So other things to start is make sure you start understanding due diligence. So when you do due diligence, make sure you pick up this book, get it on my website, get it off Amazon, Wealth Cycle Investing. There's a whole chapter on money rules, due diligence, risk analysis. How do you start looking at it? The combination of this and the gift I'm giving you, real estate is leverage. So in due diligence, I always have like a basic 7 questions. So here they are, right? So number 1, is the investment congruent with your money rules? So do you have money rules? Is it congruent? Like, do you want to start, again, in a fourplex? Do you want to start residential? You want to start Airbnb? Where do you want to start? There's a lot of places to start. You got to pick some and get really good. I would not go wide in your strategy. I'd get really good. Like when I first started, before I got to the Oklahoma market, I did a lot of subject to lease options, right? Where somebody wanted to live in the house, so they were single family residents, but then over the course of 2 to 3 years, they'd qualify for the loan and they would be buying and I'd be the bank. So I did a lot of that. I got really good at that. I did lots of volume on that. Then I moved to bigger apartments and more doors. So you kind of got to figure out where you want to be in that strategy. So is your strategy congruent with your money rules? What's your exit strategy? Are you here just to sell and flip and get out? Are you here to stay for cash flow? What's your strategy? What is big money investing? So that's different for all of you. Some of you writing a $25,000 check or $50,000 check is a big deal. For some people, writing a $250,000 check feels the same to you as writing a $25,000 check. So what does it mean in the big money game? Who has the oversight and is information transparent? Meaning, are you getting clear investor meetings and investor updates of what's transparently going on in the project? Who's got command of the checkbook? That's something you want to know. And it better not be someone who this is their first rodeo. This is their first time taking investor money and actually dealing with investor relations. I wouldn't be an investor with a first timer. I want to see a resume of success and projects that they know what they're doing. Are the economics sound? Is the offer sound? Is it going to work? Will a marketing and business plan and the distribution or exit plan all work? Does the team have the experience to do it? If there's not experience on a team, for those of you that are really beginners, you're going to have a harder time going to say, I want some capital and here's my business plan and here's my resume when this is your first project. So a lot of coaching and mentoring that I do is, I allow you with permission, and if I like the project, to be on the team as the mentor, coach, consultant to the project, but not to tell you what to do and break any laws around it. Can the leadership team execute? So again, what's the leadership team's resume? One of my greatest mentors always said, money will follow the management team. So do you have a good enough team to run the project? And is the economics sound? So make sure you do that due diligence. Now, before I go into steps 2 and 3 on investment capital, OPM, OPC, and OPI, I want you to subscribe to my channel, click the notification button, be out here every day and watch it. My subscription base is bigger than my watch hours, which means you're here, you're not getting notified, and you're ignoring me, and that's totally illegal. You need to watch me every day. You need to journal one thing that you're learning and a new habit you're going to do because of watching the channel. And get your younger kids watching the channel. Like, get them in the right money conversation and bring the money conversation to your kitchen table. You get my Millionaire Maker game, but start talking about money in your household, folks. It's critical to your and their success. They're going to be the potential inheritance of your empire you're going to build, whatever that is for you. So they got to go along and get educated in the plan. The other thing I want you to do, especially in the area of real estate, is those 5 people that you're surrounded with, if they're not doing real estate, if they're not on this, the goal of becoming a millionaire or making money, becoming more literate, you got to atrophy them. Like, you want the support. Your environment around you, that support is going to make or break your success. And they're more powerful than you think. And a lot of you, you'll get together and drink some beers on a Friday night and talk about just ideas. If no one in your circle's taking ideas to deals and knowing how to really get stuff done, make it happen in your life versus just let things happen in your life, you're going to have to trade up. So a lot of people join our community at Integrated Wealth Systems. They join our big table to have that support and have this constant conversation of education and success and being around other successful people. Now, because of the community is also where a lot of investor capital is. There's investment capital everywhere. There's so much cash available right now looking for great projects because the market's rough right now. Cryptos are rough. So investment capital is everywhere. But again, you got to go from an idea into paperwork. You got to put an investor presentation. You got to put a pro forma together. If it's a big enough deal, $1 million or more, you got to put a PPM together, private placement memorandum. So money's available. You just can't attract it because you don't have a resume and a team around you. So let's talk about that. Well, how else could you go if you're just beginning and you don't have any means or money? Leverage your relationships. It's why you want to join mentoring groups like our community. There's tons and tons of people where you could do deals with them. And, I stand back as a mentor and educator, like you guys would do what you want to do, but we make sure, just ask you a lot of questions. Is the entity set up right? Is the operating agreement set up right? Is the exit plan structured properly? What's the pro formas look like? So we could just be there kind of as guardrails to make sure things are successful. Other people's money is hard money lending, and it is a fabulous way, although it's expensive. So I'm still a fan of traditional banks, especially local small banks that hold their assets, don't sell them off. A lot of money in those categories, and it's cheaper than hard money. But if you have to and you don't have good credit or history, you might get a hard money lender. If you don't have good credit and you want to go on a mortgage or actually do some, leveraging, you're going to have, in collateralization, you're going to have somebody with good credit or fundability. And OPI, finally, it's other people's IRAs. So self-directed IRAs, there are billions and billions of dollars in IRAs uninvested. So again, leverage your relationships, see who's got the money, who's got the interest. If you're willing to do the work and put a team around you, it's not going to be difficult to find the capital. But again, it's a team-made millionaire approach. It's not self-made. You're not going out here by yourself. That's suicide. Crazy to do a real estate deal by yourself without support of a big community of successful players. So stay out here. Click on the link below on binge watching my YouTube channel. You can earn $750 of tuition credit towards coaching or a mentoring program and working with myself or my team. So binge watch. There's a whole process to it. So click on the link, learn about it. I want you to get really financial and business and real estate smart this year, which means every day you got to be out here changing your conversation and your habits with money. We'll talk to you tomorrow.